and then we'll go from there. Okay, so, right. Thanks for joining us today to learn a little bit more about Agents Here to Help. So this all really started, 3 or 4 days ago, just sort of thinking about what us as agents can do at the moment. Obviously, there are some agents out there doing some very direct sort of tackling the very physical issues at the moment, helping out with NHS and offering shopping services and blah, blah, blah. But I think something at the moment, particularly people trapped at home, I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about what this means. And I think as agents and suppliers, I don't necessarily think that we've got the answers to all of those questions. But at the coalface, I definitely think we can be adding value and sort of reassuring people by explaining really from our experience what we're seeing and what we feel is the best way to navigate now and beyond. I think in particular, obviously, tenants and landlords are incredibly nervous at the moment about ability to pay rent / ability to gather that rent and how that situation evolves depending on people's specific circumstances. And obviously in the sales environment, a lot of curiosity about whether people should be seeing stuff or offering and what's happening with transactions already in place, etc., etc. So I think there's a really good opportunity for us. Obviously, the current climate means that we literally have a captive audience trapped inside. Obviously, I think people will be spending more time than ever on social media right now. So I think that represents a huge opportunity for us as agents to start generating some content that hopefully can get some traction. Now, pretty much every agent that's signed up so far are sort of independent, smaller operations. Even if you're part of a franchise or something like that, they tend to be more sort of independent operations. Now, I think one of the challenges that we all face as my little one will occasionally chip in with valid comments to add to this whole process. I think as smaller agencies, I think we sometimes will struggle to get traction with our social media in the general marketplace. I think there are definitely people in this group who buck that trend, like Maurice, who's got a lot of traction on his online accounts. But I think cumulatively, as a small operation, it's quite difficult to gain and keep that traction, and particularly to keep generating the volume of content that needs to do that. So our thinking is that by all coming together, we can all support one another without it being a massively onerous undertaking. In fact, my thinking is very much to keep this as very clean and simple for everyone involved. So I was sort of spitballing last night. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got like eight sort of points that we think will form the sort of key structure of what we're trying to do. So I'm going to quickly read through those. Obviously, again, make notes, and we can always circle back round to any thoughts on these at the end. So I'll run through these as quick as I can. So first and foremost, all participating agents will commit to do at least to basically contribute at least one bit of content per month. So that can either be a video, or the preference being that is a live session. It doesn't have to be on Facebook. It can be on any social media platform. So it can be LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. If it is video content, it has to be original and fresh content. And like I said, the preference is where possible that you guys are doing live sessions. So over time, we'll hopefully get that ability to have a direct and instant interaction with the public to field any questions to you. Obviously, any content under this initiative is to be shared with us, for us to share across what we're setting up. So we have registered some domain names. We've already set up a YouTube page, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all that. So all of the content that is created under that Agents Here to Help sort of banner will be shared and promoted across all of the channels that we have set up for that. Yeah, we will also provide you guys with relevant hashtags that should be attached to any content you put out there, and obviously any content that you share created by others. We do not want any content that is an advert. And I mean that in the most direct sense. So obviously this would relate more to if you're uploading video content than doing a live session. But yeah, no matter how pretty and flash it looks, we don't want any direct marketing on the platform. That said, obviously very happy to have you guys do sessions where you talk about why you do things a particular way and why that's good for your client. You can talk about case studies of how you've tackled a particular issue. You know, you can interview clients, whatever it is. You can talk around things that talk about what an amazing agent you are and why you do things the way you do. But like I said, it just shouldn't be a direct advert. We don't want a channel that is just 50% of adverts. As a group, the idea would be that we would all agree to share and promote the channel as a whole, and to share and promote content created by other agents. I obviously appreciate that there may be some exceptions to that rule. I'm not expecting agents to necessarily share and promote a direct competitor. But the reality is what we're looking at the moment. So when I went through this last night, we had 57 agents registered. I think we cover something like 30 different regions. We've got pretty much nationwide coverage. You know, if you do feel uncomfortable sharing content with someone who competes in your direct market, the fact is 90% of the content that's created by us as a network should not fall into that category. So there should be plenty of content for you to share. And I think as agents, what we'll find over time is that there are agents within the group that you will align yourselves with, you know, whether it's brand values, whether it's language, whether it's approach. I think over time you will probably find there are certain agents where your content and message is sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Is on that same sort of avenue. And therefore, I think, yeah, you know, naturally over time, I think we'll probably evolve into groups of agents who have a similar sort of message around that. Yeah, really the last two things are more just around sort of general conduct. So the overall tone of any content that we produce is to be positive, friendly, and respectful at all times. And the final thing is you can only mention another estate agency by name in a collaborative or positive light. Okay, if you don't have something nice to say about another agent, don't say it at all. Is the simple thing. Now, outside of that, we're looking at this being a completely open community. Okay, so this isn't a club, this isn't a membership, this isn't an organization. There's no, thank you very much. There is no qualifying criteria. You know, we will obviously take certain steps to try and monitor what content people are putting out there. If this works the way we hope it does, there's going to be a hell of a lot of content. So we're not going to be looking at all of it. But obviously we will be keeping an eye on things, and obviously anything that doesn't get the reaction or the engagement that we would hope, we'll sort of look at that. But generally, like I said, we're not here to sort of stipulate how agents do things. It's just really effectively bringing our voices together to hopefully sort of work together. And I think, you know, quite excitingly, you know, we could quite easily build really the first bona fide agency media channel that is direct to consumer. Because I don't really think there's much out there. You know, the only thing I can really equate to that is the portals, but they very much, as we know, at the moment sit as a sort of brick wall between the two. So I think this is a really exciting opportunity for us as agents to come together. Like I said, I think, you know, as I started at the beginning, you know, we're only really looking at a commitment of 1 session a month. So we're looking at something that should be very moderate for people to commit to. At the moment, like I said, last night we had 57 agents. So if we work on the fact that we're putting content out Monday to Friday, and obviously agents are welcome to do weekend content as well, but that is already, you know, at least 2 events a day every month. So that's a really nice, consistent output. And obviously, you know, that is the minimum. If you want to do a weekly thing, you do a weekly thing. So the content could be considerably more than that. But that is just the minimum expectation. I've got Sarah joining us, Sarah Edmondson. Oh, and Ian White's jumping in. Here we go. So yeah, guys. So Sarah, could you just mute your microphone for us,
What's his net benefit from you?
Thanks. Right. So Mal, those of you who don't know Mal from Groshen, he's been an absolute legend. He reached out to Carla and myself really in the first 24 hours of this. And I think he's quite excited about where this can go and how quickly this can move. So Mal has been brilliant, sort of really moving things forward, getting the domains registered, getting the ball rolling on getting a website built. Mal also got some artwork done up. So Mal, have you, I've not got out my laptop yet. Are you able to even basically
share the logo, right? So this is just going to involve a flip around of my camera on my phone. So let's see if this works. No, that didn't work. Switch camera. Right,
there we go. Yeah. Okay,
right,
guys. So that's what we're looking at. Something just really nice and crisp and visual. Quite simple. We will probably, thanks for that, Mal. That's great. Just so everyone got to have a quick look. We've already discussed as well. We'll probably be very happy for you guys if you want to change the colours on that to your brand colours. Again, we're not building a business. We're sort of building a movement, and it is very much about promoting you guys as agents. So although I know I said the thing about no advertising, this is very much about you guys putting yourselves out there as experts in your field. You know, any content you do share obviously will be very much credited to you, promoting you. So yeah, I think that's really the lion's share of where we've got to. So I think Carla, Mal, is there anything you guys wanted to add before we sort of open it up more to the floor for some broader questions?
No, I think I'm good. I'll probably just send around an email to everyone with links to the relevant channels that we've already got set up, so they can access those and subscribe to them for when, so they're ready when the content starts being generated.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. The only thing that I wanted to add was we've potentially got a little ad on Property Industry Eye coming up, hopefully in the next few days. And also we may get a story in tomorrow. I know Kristjan's working with Nick Salmon on that as well. So if that comes out, then sharing that as quickly as possible would be amazing as well. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, you two. Right. Anyone else in the meeting? Anyone got any burning questions front and center right now? Shoot.
Good connection with Nigel Lewis of The Negotiator. I've suddenly got very friendly with him through the Rightmove issue that's going on. I can put you in touch with him to promote it if you want me to.
So we've got Nigel. Nigel did a really nice little article on us yesterday.
Okay.
I think, I mean, great. Any connections like that, do mention them. I mean, I am seeing this very much as an industry movement. So as well as the 57 agents who've already signed up, we've got, I think, 26 or 27 suppliers now who've signed up. Now, at the moment, because this has all happened so fast, we're very focused on just the agents for now, just helping you guys understand what it is that you're sort of buying into and what it is that you're committing to. Okay, so I think the important thing for us is to get that framework out as quickly as possible, and that's what today is about. And we'll be following up today with this in writing, and this recording will be made available to the 60 agents, 60 registrants who couldn't make the meeting today. So yeah, but it is about us working as an industry, so suppliers will very much be part of that. We're going to be very happy to have suppliers do live content as well. Again, it's not about selling, so it might be a supplier might want to do an interview with one of their agent clients on our panel, to talk about how those two working together delivers an amazing experience for consumer or resolves an issue that consumers are facing, whatever. So again, it comes back to that no selling, but as far as we're concerned, the broader the network that we have involved in this, the broader the network that we have sharing the content and promoting it, the better it should be for everyone.
Can I make one point?
Yeah.
We just kept 20 estate agents quiet for 20 minutes. That's got to be a record.
Guys, anyone else got any burning questions at this moment in time?
I have, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Clear, Kristjan, on the target audience of all the content.
So, we're exploring this at the moment. So we're looking at. I've got to be honest, I'm slightly in two minds about this at the moment. So I'm slightly in two minds about whether we come up with a structure where we sort of have targeted content for a specific day. So an example of that would be Tenant Tuesday. And so Tuesdays would be all content aimed at tenants, and obviously apply a similar model with different target groups on different days. I kind of like that because it's quite clean, but at the same time, if we did do something like that, that means we're only engaging with the tenant community one day a week, or with any category. So I think my preference is that we'll have hashtags associated to content. So it will tenant help or buyer help or seller help. It might be something really that simple. And we would just say, look, if you're doing a seminar that's aimed at buyers, use the buyer hashtag. And if it's aimed at tenants, use the tenant hashtag. Obviously, different platforms work different ways, but if you're doing Facebook Live sessions, the idea is that you would schedule it as an event. Agents Here to Help page would be a co-host, so all the events would be shared on our page with all the scheduling. So people could easily scroll through our sort of calendar of events to see what content is relevant to them. And obviously the idea being any live sessions would then be posted afterwards as a recording anyway. So you've obviously got that ability to engage in a live event, but that content that you've created will still be out there as a resource for other people to watch back, even if they're not able to be in the live event. Does that kind of answer that? Yeah. Any more sort of burning questions at the moment?
I've got one. Can I, if I may? Can you hear me all right?
I don't know if I can drink that, but drinking
backwards, isn't it?
Backwards as well, that is.
Drinking at home help. I got there in the end. God, that was a challenge. I got that was the important part.
Game.
Guys, anyone else in the group got any sort of really burning questions at the moment?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
So in terms of the actual content, how much of this do you think should be specific help around the current coronavirus situation, and how much of it should be general content? Because there's an opportunity here, obviously, to solve people's questions and queries in terms of what the market's going to do. What do I do now that I've exchanged and my completion is supposed to be in 3 days? There's kind of a wider.
I think my guidance on this is, look, I very much see this as being this is something that the opportunity's been crystallized by coronavirus, but this is not something that we are doing just for coronavirus. The idea is that this is something that we will establish now and carry on for the foreseeable future, providing we get the engagement. So I think my guidance on that would be absolutely do some coronavirus content. But what I would probably say is look at your social media feed, look at your email inbox. How much stuff are you getting around Corona, and what is your typical reaction to seeing that now? I know for me now, if I see another article about how to tackle coronavirus, how to organise my work from home day, or I'm going to probably lose my mind. So I think, look, early doors. I think coronavirus is definitely going to give us that early traction. But by all means, don't by any means feel obligated that everything we do this first few weeks has to be coronavirus focused. Even if you lead in with that, Nick, I think you're trying to share your screen.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
So yeah, I think we can obviously, you can touch on coronavirus, but yeah, basically don't feel the need to make everything about corona, because I think we'll put off as many people as we attract. So even if you preface it by going, look, in these uncertain times, and you then go on to a more broader discussion. Yeah, Murray.
How do you do the presentation? I'm the dinosaur here. I've managed to get onto here and I can do a bit of FaceTime, etc. You're saying do the video content and so on. How does one do that? Just go on a live screen?
So you can, on most social media platforms, you've got the option to do a live broadcast, which would literally be like a live news bulletin. So you want to have, ideally, you want to have your smartphone on. If you're going to do something like that, you want it on some sort of rig or stand, or if you're doing it straight in front of your screen like this, that's fine. Or if doing live stuff makes you a little bit nervous early doors, that's why I said we're not adverse to video content.
I have no problem with that. I do a live radio show on a Friday night from Watford Hospital on Periscope, so that I got no problem with.
Perfect.
I'm just wondering what you should use to do this, how you link it to Twitter or to Facebook.
Yeah, I think we're going to do our best to try and help you with that. And I think the honest answer to that is it's going to be a little bit of learning as we go.
Okay.
I think that's the honest answer. We're all going to make little mistakes along the way. Don't worry about it. If you make a mistake, if you forget to tag something, if you forget to share something, it's not the end of the world. As long as you try and rectify that when you realize, that's fine. And just learn from it next time. And I think don't be afraid to be open about that when you start doing this stuff. If you haven't done it before, don't be afraid in your first one to go, guys, hi, this is our first live Facebook session. Do forgive me if the kid walks through the background with a bowl of Cheerios, or the missus comes in her dressing gown to hit me with a newspaper. None of that stuff matters. In fact, actually, quite often with social content, that is actually the stuff where people will engage with it better, because it's more human. I think the more polished and sometimes the more polished and professional the presentation is, the harder it is for the audience to engage with. So again, I think that's what's nice about coronavirus at the moment, is that everyone is taking a slightly more laid back approach. Everyone accepts that lots of people are stuck at home. Sarah's just posted a comment, Sarah Edmondson, who helps a lot of agents with social media. They're gonna, people like Sarah are going to be helping us with little tips and stuff. So I think that actually brings me back around to the suppliers nicely. We're looking at two things from suppliers. Obviously, there are some suppliers who actually have the skill set to technically help with what we're doing. People like Sarah, people like Chris and Matt at Property Video Solutions. We've had a company called Brightbee who help sort of do targeted social media adverts, have offered to help us drive engagement. So with our supplier network, we're sort of looking for two things: either just general community support, or if they've got technical support relevant to our group, to share that. And again, we'll be sharing those things out there. So Sarah, thanks for that message. We'll probably ask you, we'll engage with you as we put this stuff together, Sarah, and you can help us hopefully put together some sort of top tips or do's and don'ts for agents to have. I also, guys, I did just mention Chris, England, and Matt of Property Video Solutions, or Leo Media. They've kindly offered to help anyone who wants any help and advice. But also, just to say, they have just put together basically an epic teach yourself how to film and edit and do live recordings, like sort of online tutorial. I think they've put together 50 modules, and it's less than £100. It's like £90 and you get access to all of them. And that teaches you everything from how to set up your camera, how to light well, you know. So do by all means have a look at that. But Chris and Matt have also said, look, anyone feel free to reach out to them and they're happy to share little tips and advice. And I've also asked them to watch the content as we start putting it out there, and for them to feel free to reach out to agents and maybe give a little tip about, oh, you know, if you guys do this, you'll get a better sound quality of your recording, or, you know, whatever. So, yeah.
Kristjan, can I just clarify? Yeah, just a quickie. Can I just clarify for everybody's benefit, and based on what you just said before, is the whole objective of this to really put ourselves out to help consumers, everything to do with property. We're not experts in coronavirus or anything to do with it. So we should perhaps avoid commenting on that, apart from all the messages we're getting.
No, I think absolutely, Nick, absolutely property focused. I think the comment about coronavirus was obviously people in this climate have property related issues specific to the current climate.
Yeah.
You know, so I know, you know, probably the most common thing we're getting at the moment is a lot of, and I see it a lot online in social media, is a lot of tenants facing financial difficulties, not really understanding what the next 3 to 6 months looks like for them, and how best to navigate that. So
getting them through the financial situation and the current mediation and whatever's needed, isn't it? Through landlords, tenants, etc. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, no, everything we're doing should be property focused. Now that could be, like I said, talking about you guys as an operation, what you do. It can also be, you know, just generally talking about the industry. You can be talking about things other agents do that you admire, or that you like, or that you've read about. You know, I'd love to see that happening a little bit. Again, I get that you're not going to be able to necessarily doing it about the agent that's right next door to you, but you might be doing about an agent halfway across the country that's just done something you love and you're going to engage with it. You know, it'd be great to see some of that happen as well.
Therefore, just on that, Kristjan, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Obviously, prime concern is consumers and putting ourselves out to consumers to help them, sales, lettings, and even investment property. So in the future, if there's tips and ideas that we're all got that can help each other in our regions, then, you know, from investment property to lettings to sales, then we could all share those together, couldn't we?
Exactly. Yeah. And that sort of comes back to what I was saying earlier, is I think over time, as agents, you'll find other agencies that sort of align nicely with you from a sort of brand language, brand value, business approach. So I think over time you will find, I mean, cliques is the wrong word. I don't want it to be cliquey, but I think you'll find naturally you'll align yourself with other businesses and owners that you have a similar language and approach to your business. And I think that content will be the most relevant content for you to share and promote, because it suits your client base. So yeah, absolutely. Anyone else got any questions? Anything obvious, screaming, burning, desperately needs answering?
What's your time scale? When do you think we're going to get off and running?
Murray, that is the $1 million question. We're already at Thursday. I was hoping to get this up and running on Monday. I don't know if that's too optimistic. I think probably the challenge for us is not being ready to go, but having enough scheduled content that when we start doing this, we've already got a bit of a pipeline. So I'd say that's probably, after sort of relaying what's been covered today to all parties, that's probably going to be our biggest priority, is now that people sort of understand, hopefully, a lot more exactly what it is we're trying to do. Hopefully we can get a bit of sort of buy-in on that, and we can start putting a schedule together. And if we can pipeline at least a couple of weeks of content to at least give us that buffer, then really I think we can start going. So if we can do that by Monday, great. But I think, you know, we want to strike while the iron's hot. Is the bottom line. We don't want this to go on too long. At the same time, we want to make sure that we've got enough events and that we've got a little run in to get enough time for us all to promote this before it starts happening. So I'd love it to start this Monday. I think the reality is that we would aim to start no later than the following Monday, but we could start before that. We don't have to start it on a Monday. We could start midweek. I think really if we're ready, we should just get going. Yeah, I think after this, I'll be liaising with Carla. We'll just figure out how we can start.
No, it wasn't. It was just about Cook Avenue.
Oh, Jack, could you
she's just giving me a call.
Background, we can hear them really loud. Perfect, thank you. Yeah, so after following up after this, I think that will be our next priority. Is we're gonna look at the different areas of content, what the hashtags associated with those are, and then we'll be looking at inviting people to start looking at scheduling events, or at least saying, yeah, I could do this on this day, and we can start putting that together. And once we've got, like I said, once we've got a couple of weeks worth of content, then I think we can look at setting a launch date and get going from there.
Well done, you, for pulling this all together. Let's hope it gets going.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, hopefully the idea is, like I said, is that, none of us have to do too much. I know that for me and Carla and Mal, it's going to be very hands-on probably for the next month, whilst we help all of us negotiate the first few weeks and find our feet and find how it works. But hopefully once we start getting to that point, it will get considerably easier for us, and it will just be a little bit of hand-holding and a little bit of nudging here and there, just to make sure we're all pulling together. But obviously we'll keep you guys informed as it goes forward. Like I said, Mal's registered a couple of domains, so we are looking at doing a little website to pull all this content in. So, eventually, like I said, this could become a bona fide sort of media channel for us as an industry to the consumer. So that's sort of at the back of our mind. But for now, it's just about getting us together, getting the content out there, and see where we go from there. All right, guys.
Thank you, Kristjan. Well done.
Brilliant, guys. Thanks for your time, everyone, today.
Stay safe.
Be in touch soon. Thank you.
That's right, guys.
It's still complimentary with the back to front writing. Take care, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.